Let's then take a look at the aforementioned bracket then as it's all set. Of course, the game's being played once a day, Wednesday all the way through to Saturday. And I feel it's fair we go through chronologically. Anybody who says there's no easy side to this bracket is lying, because obviously it's all worked out beautifully for England in the sense they finished second, which means they avoid that potential semi-final against Spain. They are arguably obviously in the easier side of the bracket. We'll talk about their clash with Sweden in a moment, but let's start off, shall we, Beth, with Norway against Italy. What do we need to know about this one?
Yeah, so I'm going to be covering that one. I'm out in Geneva, so that's going to be the first one of the quarterfinals. And yeah, Norway are such an interesting team because they're stacked with so much attacking talent in particular, and they've got so many big names. You know, the likes of Caroline Green Hansen, Ada Hegberg, Guro Wright, and so many top players who play for the best teams, and yet they never really seem to live up to sort of what they are individually when they're put together as a collective, and whether that's a management thing or I'm not quite sure. So it's hard sometimes to know what you're going to get from them. I think in the group stages they've not particularly impressed me, but they've got the job done. And there is something to be said for that. There's something to be said for a team that can just go about the business and do just enough to get through. And they certainly have the experience to be able to go deep into a tournament. I was at Italy's game against Portugal earlier in the week in Geneva again. And that was it. It was a hugely entertaining game. Obviously, Portugal come back and managed to snatch a point late on. But for the most part in that game, Italy were really good. They impressed me. They've impressed me this tournament, actually. They didn't qualify for the last Euros. So they've come a long way, I think, over the past couple of years. So I think it will be close. I think it will be really close. I think in terms of performance, I think that they'll be quite evenly matched. I just think that Norway's experience might just give them a slight edge in the end.
Beth saying 100%, no doubt about it. Norway are going through to the semi-finals. Sam, do you agree?
No, I'm going the other way. Obviously, a lot of the points that Beth makes there, I agree with about Norway. Maybe it sounds a little bit harsh because they've just come through the group with 9 points. I didn't see their final game because obviously they clashed with the Switzerland game, which I was following. But I saw their first 2 games. I thought they were, perhaps they certainly didn't deserve to win against Switzerland or Finland in their first 2 games. And they've had this problem for years where they haven't quite managed to get the players to click together. I still don't think that's completely gone away. I think they would perhaps be better without Hegerberg in the team now. I'm not sure whether she could be sort of a potential problem to how they flow in attack. And I've just got a feeling for Italy. They showed against Spain that they can compete against good teams. They've got good players. They see this as a huge opportunity for them. I think perhaps there will be pressure on the Norway team. Although I don't know if we should be pushing for Norway because, of course, they're the only team left in the competition with an English manager. But I think if I had to bet one way, I'd go for Italy.
Meanwhile, then the winners of that tie will take on either the victors of Sweden against England. So many different subplots, Beth, going into this game.
Yeah, definitely. And England and Sweden have faced each other quite a few times over the past couple of years. They obviously faced each other in the semi-finals at the last Euros, and England won that game super convincingly 4-0. It obviously produced that fantastic Alessia Russo back heel goal. It's still probably one of my favourite England goals to watch. I can't see it being quite as emphatic if England do win this time. Sweden have got the number a little bit more. They've played each other a few times in the Nations League, and there've been some really close encounters and really sort of end-to-end pretty evenly matched games. So yeah, I think I'd probably, if I had to pick, maybe my England heart would go for England just about. But I think I've seen a little bit of Sweden and I've been really, really impressed with them. I think they're a strange side because the past sort of 5-10 years or so, they're always sort of there or thereabouts. And they never really get talked about among the favourites. But again, you look at the squad; they've got so much talent in there. The manager Peter Carlson is moving on at the end of this tournament. So again, whether that has a bit of a galvanising effect, maybe of wanting to do it for him, he's had a really successful time in charge there. And the fans sing ABBA in the stands, which to me is a huge kick against the name. But yeah, I think it will be quite a close one. I think England will edge it, just because of the fact that they've been there and got over the line before. But I think it will be close.
Wait, Beth, you hate ABBA? Is that what we're taking out of that?
No, absolutely not. If I could put someone through purely based on the song choice, it would be
okay.
It would be for me.
All right.
There's not enough
ABBA,
ABBA on it.
ABBA over Sweet Caroline.
Oh, every day of the week.
Yeah, so who's going through then, Sweet Caroline or ABBA, Sam?
I do agree with Beth. I do think, and it's not with sort of, England will definitely win. I think it'll be really, really close. I do really like Sweden. I just think England, seeing the last two games, I think they've got something between their teeth again. Perhaps some of the Swedish players are just, slightly more of an aging squad than England. Perhaps when you look at, Essiani, Blackstenius, Fridolina, Rolfo, players who've been there and done it a lot, but perhaps it's going to be a tight game that goes a difference. Perhaps England will have a little bit more energy. I have a feeling England will win it, but it's a tough one to call. It could go either way, that one.
Meanwhile, the other side of the bracket, Spain taking on Switzerland. Beth, is it fair to say that this is the easiest of the four ties to predict?
Well, it is, but then you say that and you never know. This could be the one that throws up the biggest surprise. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to look past anyone, Spain against anyone. I think they absolutely have to be the favourites to go on and win the tournament. And certainly against Switzerland, they impressed me so much in their opening game against Norway. They were so unlucky not to win that one. Then obviously they go on, they win the second game in Bern, and deservedly so. And then I was at the game the other night where they just about managed to clinch qualification, and it's been so lovely. I was traveling on the day of that game from Zurich back to Geneva, and sort of even in Zurich, hours and hours before kickoff, everywhere was filled with fans wearing Switzerland shirts, and the train was packed with fans traveling to watch. And it is really special, and it inspires this hope that it could really start something here in Switzerland in terms of women's football and the exposure. So, that home advantage, I think, will be massive. I'm sure the fans will be out in force again. But yeah, I think Spain are far and away the better team. And yeah, even though they maybe showed a few vulnerabilities against Italy, I can't see past Spain winning that one.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it, to put up a strong argument, apart from the fact, obviously, that Spain might have an off day and Switzerland will be the home side, Sam.
Yeah, like you say, I mean, I think the other three semi-finals, the other three quarterfinals are more or less, not much more 50-50 either way. Obviously, one might be 60-40 or whatever, but I think this one is, Switzerland, I'd probably give like a 2%, 1% chance or something like that. Like you said, I think it is nice. It still does have a nice sort of feel going into the final because it's against the hosts, because of the sort of momentum that's getting behind Switzerland. I think almost because they have sort of stumbled their way to the quarterfinals, it sort of almost galvanized them even more, as opposed to if if they'd have beaten Norway and then won the next one. The fact that they had to score late goals in their second and third games, especially that third game, that late equaliser, was almost given sort of like something to sort of really celebrate and really get behind. And you're sort of seeing that they had an open training session today, which they announced at the last minute, which only had 4,000 people allowed in, and it was filled up straight away. You're really sort of seeing the support for the team around the country. Obviously, it's in Bern, where there's huge sort of support for the national team. There's going to be 30,000 Switzerland fans probably in the Wankdorf Stadium, probably maybe a few hundred, maybe 1,000 or so from Spain. There's going to be overwhelming support for Switzerland. Can that have an effect? Can that play against Spain? No, I don't think so.
And finally, is it fair to say, like, the marquee, the headline act of these quarterfinals is the final game, Beth, France against Germany?
Yeah, I think it's probably the closest one, definitely. Probably just edges Sweden and England for that one. And yeah, it's difficult because Germany are such a strange team. I thought they've not massively impressed, but obviously they did enough in those first two group games, and then obviously they go and you would expect sort of them and Sweden to have been pretty evenly matched. And obviously I know Germany get a red card, so that skews things a little bit, but they got sort of emphatically beaten by Sweden. And whether that does something for their confidence or whether it is galvanizing and it makes them think, what, we're going to go out there and show what we can do. France, as we've said, we touched on earlier on, so good from an attacking perspective, but they do have vulnerabilities at the back. So again, I think it'll come down to probably sort of who can score more goals. I think at this moment in time, I'd probably just edge with France, just because I think they look like they're really enjoying themselves. They're playing some really good football. They look really energized, really energetic. Whereas Germany at times have looked a little bit sort of stilted, a little bit jaded. So I'm gonna give it to France. But again, I think it probably is the marquee fixture and will be really entertaining to watch.
Final word goes to you, Sam.
Yeah, I'm going France as well. I actually think this one's, I find this one easier to call. I might be completely wrong on all 4 predictions, but for me, I find this one easier to call than the England-Sweden game. I do think France will be too much for Germany in attack. Obviously, they've lost captain Gwyn to injury. Her replacement, Ramsey, who came in, has been sent off, so I don't know what they're going to do at right back, how they're going to get their defence together. And obviously, France is so dangerous on the wing. It's going to be a big problem for Germany. So I think France will win that one.
Couple of rest days, guys, for you now. Beth, what are you going to do with yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been lovely weather here, as it has been back at home in the UK, I believe. But it's been gorgeous. So I think we'll just be having a little saunter around the lake, a little swim as well, which is it's quite nice. And yeah, all the locals, you can see them jumping in at the end of a work day into Lake Geneva. It's a really nice atmosphere, and yeah, a beautiful place. So if anyone is coming here over the next couple of weeks, you know, I'm sure people will love it because it's a beautiful place and a beautiful country. But yeah, some nice chill time by the lake, I think.
The Switzerland tourist board are going to love you, Beth. Sam, a saunter and a swim for you as well?
No rest days here. There'll be lots of media activity around the Spain camp over the coming days. There's a press conference tomorrow. We don't know who with yet. At midday on Tuesday or Wednesday, there'll be some individual interviews ahead of the quarterfinals. So we'll be getting down with that. That's one of the great things about the tournament as well, is some of the access you get and the chances you get to speak to the players and the coaches and stuff involved and get a feel for what's going on. So that's going to be the next couple of days. And yeah, maybe the afternoons, maybe a little bit of sightseeing if I get time, or some lake action around Lausanne.
You sounded
Great
a lot
stuff,
more
guys.
professional.
Yeah,
a lot more professional than
exactly. That's all right, Beth. You sound like you have more fun. Good stuff, guys. Thank you very much. Just a reminder, ESPN FC, of course, covering the Euros in depth. Our reporters on the ground in Switzerland to keep up to date with all the latest news. Be sure to keep an eye out on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't.